I know this is an inappropriate time, but I told you I'd tell you as soon as I figured it out.
We'll postpone the wedding immediately. Let's continue this in private, okay?
Sebastian, I also require your parents' attendance, and Mr. Frey as well. The crimes of this past week were horrible ones, my dear. But even more horrifying is who committed them.
You mean more horrifying than my father being murdered by his best friend?
Yes. For the murderers were the parents of the fiancée. And by and by, I wouldn't try to run. I have the whole place surrounded. How dare you make these accusations? I dare because I have evidence. Evidence? What evidence?
This cannot be happening.
My first clue was the phosgene. I discovered it. Not in the wine, as we thought, but in the gas lamp. I went back later to retrieve samples. Once reacted with water, it will form hydrochloric acid. This was the first clue that led to many tests. They identified this substance as phosgene. Phosgene, it turns out, is a highly poisonous gas. Among its effects are vomiting, irritation of the eyes, coughing up blood, and frostbite in the liquid form. Once this liquid form is exposed to room temperature, it will begin to evaporate and to form lethal gas. The first question I asked myself, how did this end up here? The obvious answer was it must have been transported in its liquid form. Incredibly risky. My books warned that frostbite could be very severe. I thought someone must have shown signs, but I couldn't remember there being anyone talking about frostbite. So then I thought back to that night. Anyone acting peculiar? No more peculiar than drunk people normally do, they responded. Except then I remember. When I was leaving, I shook everybody's hands. But when I shook hands with Mr. Wentworth, he flinched. He was also wearing hard leather gloves that he had not been wearing before.
It's cold.
At the time, I thought nothing of it. Then, Mr. Wentworth did not like being exposed to other people's germs. But the next day, I had tea with Ariana. I asked her how her ride had been. Lovely. It was only Sebastian and I. Father has burnt himself on the stove and needs to be treated, she said.
Are your parents to be joining us later?
No, my father burned his hand in the stove, and my mother decided to wait with him for the physician.
Except men don't cook! Now I pause to allow the witness to speak. On Tuesday morning, did you or did you not treat Mr. Wentworth for burns on his hand?
I did not treat him for burns, but for frostbite.
Thank you, doctor. You may leave.
But you cannot prove that I got the frostbite from the phosgene.
As a matter of fact, I can. You see, if you were handling the phosgene, then you must have been exempt from the party at the time of 9 o'clock. Roughly a couple minutes before the phosgene would have taken effect and killed Mr. Woodhouse. Within 15 minutes, leaving us at approximately 9:17, the time I calculated as Mr. Woodhouse's death. I paused for a witness. Mr. Frey, can you confirm this?
As a matter of fact, I can. I was talking with Mr. Wentworth at approximately 8:45 when he excused himself to the bathroom only 5 minutes later. Except I did not see him return until a couple minutes after 9.
Thank you, Nathaniel. I'm going to say, there is no evidence that Mr. Woodhouse died of phosgene. Well, frankly, there is. He coughed up blood, his eyes were irritated, and there was evidence of vomit. Nothing seen in a normal death, but a poisoned death. I later found the substance in his system. Of course, we were missing a motive. Perhaps you would like to fill us in, Mr. Wentworth.
The great inspector doesn't know?
Oh, I do. But I would like to hear it from you.
It was for the money, of course.
Mom,
Don't look at me like that, Sebastian. This is all your fault anyway. You wanted to marry for love. Well, thank God you married a rich girl. We knew that Ariana's father would share the entire fortune with her, and you being her husband would have that right. And you always were the good boy. You'd share us anything.
you used me. Tell me, was there anything in all these years that you told me that was not a lie? No. No, of course not. I've heard all I need to hear. Let's go.
So it all comes out. Pulvis et umbra sumus. Men, take him away.